Hi Flosstube, I'm Rachel, Stitchy Rach here on Flosstube and on Instagram. It is Thursday the 12th of August and this is a YouTube channel about cross stitch. Hi everyone, how are you? Hope you are having a good week. Summer seems to finally be upon us in the UK. I've had a really nice few days. It's looking like an unpromising start this morning, but it is now bright sunshine out there. I haven't had to have an artificial light, so I hope when I have finished recording that the lighting is okay. But finally some sun. Finally some sun. So much more positive mood all round, isn't it, when it's sunshiny? This is going to be super quick today. I haven't done a lot of stitching this week. I haven't got much haul this week, so actually not huge amounts to say, but just wanted to check in. Wanted to keep it going. Really want to get into doing a routine of doing it every week. Having said that, it is 6 p.m, which is much later than I usually film. Usually film early in the morning. My children are distracted with screens, although two of them appear to be playing a super loud video game, so you may well hear screaming. And then just as I sat down to film, the lovely man who mows our lawns turned up. So I'm sorry, he's on the lawnmower. You may hear that. I don't say gardener, I say man who mows our lawns, because gardener makes me sound way fancier than I am. And actually we have a couple of quite big lawns and we could do them ourselves, but there's other things we'd rather do in the garden, and we just have a finite amount of time for gardening in our lives and we don't want to spend it mowing the lawns, and we're fortunate enough that we can get someone to do it for us, so we do. So apologies if you hear the lawnmower outside, apologies if you hear screaming children downstairs. Hopefully the dog won't start barking as well, otherwise it'll just be a cacophony of noise. Cacophony, word of the day, cacophony. But as I say, it's going to be quick because I don't have huge amounts to show, and I also have a pot of bolognese sauce bubbling away downstairs because I'm a little more organised than last week. Whilst it's later, dinner is at least on, whereas last week definitely wasn't. So, hold on one second. Another super busy week. Took my children to a children's party at the weekend. That was the first proper, sorry, I keep looking like when I'm thinking. I watched it back the other week and my eyes are everywhere. If you follow me on Instagram and common threaded stitcher, you may have seen a post about my eye rolling. I do it a lot. But I took my children to a children's party last weekend, which was awesome. They had so much fun. They haven't done that for 18 months. It was awesome. Then we saw some friends. Yesterday we went to the zoo. It's been all go again. So not loads of stitching, and I think this coming week is going to be the same. We have so many plans to do things and see people. I have a dog training course one day with the silly dog. My brother and sister-in-law and their two little boys are coming to stay this weekend. So yeah, I think it's just going to be another crammed week. So we'll see how much stitching gets done. Who knows? That's what summer holidays are about, isn't it? Just a bit of craziness. Just a bit of craziness. Having said all that, my husband is away from home tonight. He used, before COVID, he used to stay away overnight, maybe once a month, perhaps twice a month, sometimes not at all, but with work. And tonight is the first night in 18 months that he has stayed away from home without me. We've stayed away from home as a family together. We even stayed away from home one night without the kids. My mum had them, which was awesome. But it's the first night that I've been at home with the kids on my own since this whole thing started. So that's new. And I don't love him being away from home, but it's nice to just have those nights, you know, when you're not fighting anyone for the TV remote and those things. So might get quite a lot of stitching done. Having said that, my youngest is going through a really difficult going to bed phase, so you spend most of the evening yo-yoing up and down stairs, forcing her back to bed. So we'll see. We'll see. I should probably get on with some stitching. And as I say, it's quick, and then we'll do a super quick edit, and then I'm just going to get this uploaded. Hopefully quicker than last week. My computer clearly has a factory eco setting that when it's a laptop, that when the screen goes black, the hard disk shuts down. And so for the first couple of weeks, I was filming Flosstube. It used to take me ages to upload them. And I thought it was just our internet being super slow. But then I realised even our internet couldn't be that super slow. And that actually what was happening was that when the computer kind of went into sleep mode, it just stopped uploading. And so I sorted all those settings out and haven't had a problem. But then when I went to upload last week, it did it again. And I think there'd been an update and it had like overridden those eco settings and put them back on. So I've redone that today. So hopefully it won't take all night again to upload. Anyway, tech issues. Right, whips. I've only stitched on 2 things this week. Not huge amounts of progress, but I will show them to you, and then that, as I say, is the stitching for the week. So the first one was, excuse me, what I was working on last week, which was my Bouncing Babies ABC. And if you remember, I was working on the S's for Shoes block. I needed to get that finished. So, sorry, I have these massive unwieldy projects that are really difficult to show on Flosstube. So there you go, S's for Shoes, all finished. And I think I said last week, I hope to finish this tonight. I think I finished it the night before last in the end. So much longer than I said. But there it is. So S is for Shoes. All done and ticked off on my WIPGO board. And then for August, one of my WIPGO calls was R is for Rabbit. So after I finished S is for Shoes 2 nights ago, I moved across here and started R is for Rabbit, and that is as far as I've got, which is not great progress, but as I say, tonight I'm in on my own. I was going to talk to me so I can just stitch away, provided small people stay in bed. So this is it's called Bouncing Babies ABC. It's by Lucy Heaton, and it's available on her website, and I will link it below. When I show you this, it's usually on a Q-snap, but I had to take the Q-snap off the R block to show you the S block, because it's on the other side of the fabric. So I'm going to show you the whole thing. It's stitched on 36 count white Zweigart with all the called for DMC, and this needle minder is from Caterpillar Cross Stitch. I really like their needle minders. They make nice enamel ones with good magnets. Okay, so I'm going to show you how far I am on the whole thing. As I said, I'm not stitching these letters in. Bear with me. Hi, sorry about that. I think World War III may have been averted downstairs. Not sure. We'll see. Anyway, as I was saying, I have not stitched this in consecutive order. So I'm going to show you what I have done. I tried to get ahead by stitching some of the boxes that go round each letter, because they're quite time consuming. Each box is 80 by 80, so that's not a small amount of stitching in and of itself. But here I am. So I have a box there that's empty. Then I have I, J, K and L, N, O, P, Q and the start of R, S, T, U, V and W. And S, T, U, V, W is my first full line. So I hope you liked seeing that. I won't be taking it off the snap every week, because as you can see, it's just huge, and it has 2 more rows at the top and 1 more row down below. I think it's 6 rows in total. So it is ginormous. It is originally charted for an Afghan blanket, but I'm stitching this for my youngest, and I'd already stitched her an Afghan, and I'd stitched my other to an alphabet, but when I came to find an alphabet for her, I couldn't find one I liked. So I stitched the Afghan and then saw this. So I'm now working on Afghan for my eldest, and then I'll do an Afghan for my middle, and then they'll all have an alphabet and an Afghan. Bit convoluted, but yeah. So I'm really pleased we're getting there with this. I feel now that I've completed a whole row that it's really getting there. And, you know, 13 letters in. So, is that right? 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 letters in. I'll be 13 after this. That's halfway on the letters. But then the 4 corners do have just a decorative box. So there is more than the 26 letters. But, you know, really feel that actually making progress. And it's not going to be finished this year. I think that's completely unrealistic. But I think maybe next year that is a realistic possibility of getting it done. Bear with me. Sorry about that. Just tried to again avert World War III. I've pulled in the big guns and told them they won't be able to use the Nintendo Switch for the rest of the holidays unless it stops. So we'll see how that goes. Don't make threats, Mummy, that you don't intend to carry out on. Maybe ban it for the weekend. Well, that's the thing as a parent, isn't it? You pick battles and then you think, oh God, why did I say that? It's just made my life worse. Anyway. Okay, so moving on. My other WIP I pulled out for Blackbird Weekend. That's hashtag BBD Weekend Sal. Started by Brenda and Laura. I keep it in this amazing bag from House of Stitch and Stash. Rika King. Really nice. Got a great carry handle. And this is Rose Hips and Ivy from Sewing Club. And it is a drum. It's this drum. It's the first, loads of glare, first project in the book. This was one of my Stitch Mania starts this year. I am not hugely far along with it because it only gets pulled out really for Blackbird Weekends at the moment. But this is where I am. Here we go. Sorry. There we are. So this weekend I did a little bit more on that bottom border, just of the kind of vine, and then moved into the motifs in the middle. Oh, I just love it. Just how beautiful is that? The fabric's showing pretty true, actually. Got some good light at this time of day in this spot. Really, really loving that. So, there you go. Absolutely love it. I am stitching this on, bear with me, 36 count hog bristle by Fox and Rabbit Designs. And I got that from Sue at Peakside. So I will link Peakside below, and I'll link Fox and Rabbit as well, because I think you can buy direct from them. They're based in Australia, so obviously it's easier for me to buy it from Peakside than it is for me to import it from Australia myself. It's stitched in all the called for weeks dye works, and I'm stitching it 1/2. I really wish I could be someone that would stitch the border all the way around and make sure it all met up before investing in the middle, but I can't. I just have to jump in on the middle and do all the pretty motifs. So I was pretty pleased with that kind of work over the weekend, especially as it says it wasn't a overly stitchy weekend and we were quite busy. So there we go. So they are my 2 WIPs. As I say, really not very much stitching this week. So I'm not massively going to make any plans for this coming week on the stitching front. I think it's just going to be more of the same in terms of the ABC and seeing how far I can get on that R is for Rabbit block. If I need a break, I'll see what I fancy pulling out. I'm in that kind of mood with stitching at the moment, I think, because we're doing so much and we're so busy and we're seeing so many people. I think the summer holidays are tiring anyway, but I think compounded with the fact we haven't done anything for 18 months and we haven't seen many people, it's even more tiring when you have to start doing it all again. Not have to, that makes it sound like I don't want to, but you know, when you start doing it again. Now, we've had a few friends over now, and I've kind of forgotten how to host people in my home. I know that's really stupid, it sounds really obvious, but I, you know, just like little social niceties, just kind of forgotten about. Yeah, it's fine, they love me, or they don't, maybe they won't come again. I think they love me. Okay, so I'm going to move on to haul, and then I'm gonna wrap this up pretty much because I don't have a lot to say, and as you can hear, it's a bit chaotic at home. But so the first bit of haul, this is so cool. So my business cards came from Vistaprint, so I can take part in the Great Floss Drop Swap. I think that's right. Hashtag the Great Floss Drop Swap, which was the brainchild of Momma Loves You GB, Michelle. And she, go and watch a couple of videos ago, she showed she got some business cards done that she's going to make into floss drops, and she got them done from Vistaprint. And here is my version. Ta-da! So I went for Anne Boleyn. I think I have, and this is the Holbein portrait of Anne Boleyn, probably the most famous portrait of her. I'm sure you'll know she's the second wife of Henry VIII, who he executed, and she was the first Queen of England to ever be executed. She lived in Kent. She was from Kent. She was from Hever Castle, which is not miles away. It's not right on top of me, but not miles away from where I live. And I find Anne fascinating as a person. I think I've told you before, I read history at university, but the Tudors were not one of my main periods. I generally did more medieval history, so from kind of Norman conquest through to the end of the Wars of the Roses, so kind of just abutting the Tudor period. And then I did some 19th century, 19th and early 20th century American history that I enjoyed very, very much as well. And quite a bit of European history, but Tudors were never a period I really studied at university. But since I graduated and started reading history books again, because I think for about the first 3 or 4 years after I graduated, I just couldn't face picking up a history book, to be honest. But since I started reading history again, they're one of the, I think because I knew less about them, they're one of the things I've done a lot of reading about. So there's Anne. I think also as an adult, my kind of perception of Anne has changed. I was brought up Catholic, and I'm very lapsed now. I don't go to church. I don't really consider myself to be Catholic. But being brought up Catholic and going to Catholic schools in the UK, I think your perception of Anne becomes quite coloured, in a sense. You're shown her through a certain filter, the filter of Reformation, break from Rome, divorce of the Catholic wife. So it's been really interesting to read about Anne as an adult and come up with some of my own conclusions. So I went for Anne, and also it's just a classic, very British icon, to be honest. So there you go. And this is the back, just really plain. Remember, if you're going to do this, just remember when you do this to leave enough space to get a hole punch in the top, so it's not punching into your DMC words. So just remember to move it down the card a little bit. And here's what she looks like when she's been hole punched. So there you go. Interestingly enough, when I did the first round of punching of some of these, I put the card into the large hole punch the wrong way round a couple of times. I didn't actually punch it. I realised in time every time. But it basically takes off most of her head if you do that, which I thought was actually in quite a dark humour way, quite appropriate. Can you see? Take off a good chunk of her head. So yeah, that made me, in a very kind of black humour way, chuckle. So they are here. I'm very excited. I have started swapping with people. I've posted out my first few swaps. I've got some more to package up and get out this weekend, get down to the post office because I have run out of stamps. So if you would like to do this and you would like to swap with me or with anyone else, go and check out Momma Loves You GB's video. Go and check out Instagram. Follow the hashtag The Great Floss Drop Swap, and you can see other people's cards. You can hashtag your cards and go and ask people whose card you like to swap with you. So super excited. Haven't put them in a project yet. I think the first project they're going in is my birthday new start that I showed you last week. So excited. Then my next bit of haul was from eBay. I was just having a little peruse of the second-hand charts, sorry for the rustle, second-hand charts of eBay, and I saw this one. And I've never ever seen it before. It's a Prairie Schooler, but it's one of the first Prairie Schoolers. And honestly, I've never seen it before. I'm not even sure I'll stitch it necessarily, but I was like, I want that in my collection. So here it is. It's Prairie Schooler, book number 7, Punch and Judy. Now, if you've seen this before, please do let me know, because I've honestly never ever seen it before. It's on the original cardstock. You know, it's like the booklet version. I paid less than a £5 for this, which I think is pretty amazing. And it was from the UK. It was a UK seller. So, and look, it's so early in the Prairie Schooler series that they've got all their charts that they've published on the back. It's copyright 1985. So I think that was a find on eBay. Really pleased with it. $4 it said. Well, I paid less than £4 for it. So I very chuffed with that find. Very chuffed. If everyone owns one of these, just tell me and say, we all own one, Rachel. They're not rare at all. But I've never seen it. So yeah, and hasn't their style changed quite a bit? I've never seen a Prairie Schooler like it. Anyway, there you go. And then one more piece of haul. My bag of the month from House of Stitch and Stash came from Rika. There, it's this really cool kind of embroidered plants. Can you see they're all in embroidery hoops, but loads of plants. And this lovely blue and white floral fabric for the interior. And as always, it is super squishy and beautifully made. If you ever have a chance to get your hands on one of Rika's bags, I can thoroughly recommend. And actually what I'm going to do, this is terrible, I have not tied it up from last week's Flosstubers, or just dumped down the side of this chair. If any of you who make Flosstubes put everything away every week, fair play. You have my admiration, because I really don't. And if any of you are thinking about making Flosstubes, it makes you into a hot mess when it comes to stitching organisation. So I haven't tidied up from last week. What I am going to do while you're all here is, it's just not my day today, is it? Because then the camera froze, so I had to stop again. I'm just going to bang my Kathy Barrick birthday start with the MPIs and the floss drops all into this bag. And I'm going to try and find some fabric this week. Although I said that last week, I never got around to it. But I know I have several things in my stash that can work for this. So I'm not going to have to go shopping. It's just a question of yanking the stash out of the cupboard and doing some kind of floss toss. And if I have enough time and I'm organised enough, I might put a poll on Instagram and see what everyone thinks. Not promising I'll follow your suggestion, but I might see what you all think. Okay, so that's that. that's about it. That's all I've really got. I've watched loads of Flosstube this week. Somehow I don't have time for stitching, but I've got time for Flosstube. I think it's doing household jobs. I'm dipping in and out here and there, but I've watched all my kind of regulars. So what I deem my regulars are Pam and Steph at Just Keep Stitching, Michelle Bendy Stitchy, Michelle Momma Loves You GB, Brenda and Laura the Serial Starter, and then when she was filming more regularly, Jessie Marie does stuff, but obviously she has her baby and is filming less often now, which is completely understandable because there's no way I could have filmed a Flosstube with a baby. Oh my god. And then I'm starting to have a few newer Flosstubers that I've been getting into. So Claire over at StitchedLit finally got to her 1,000 subscribers, so I was really chuffed for her. Unfortunately, it didn't actually solve a problem of being able to record live on her phone, but fingers crossed for Claire that that will happen soon. And she's had a new one out, so I enjoyed watching that. I enjoyed catching up with Stitchy Sally again. And then checked out a few new to me Flosstubers, a couple of whom are not new to you. I don't know about a lot of you, but you hear of Flosstubers and you think, I must check them out, I must check them out. But, you know, life and you're busy and we don't have time to watch everyone and you kind of never get there. So for the first time this week, I've checked out Shiloh over at XStitchMD. Really, really liked her aesthetic and vibe and all the things, so I'll definitely be going back there. And also Made by Michelle McGraw, I finally got over there and checked out what she's been doing, and that woman's a finishing machine. Loved it. So I'm sure they are not new to any of you, but they were new to me and I really enjoyed it. And then I finally got over to Crafting Kirsty. I think she's got 7 videos up now, and we chat a bit on Instagram, and I've been meaning to get over there and just have been very bad and haven't done so, but finally got over there today. Really, really loved hearing about her life and seeing her stitching. Yeah, really, really, really good to go and check her out as well. Although I know she did say she's not going to be back until mid-September, but fair play. It's harvest season right now, so if you're a farmer or in any way connected with farming, you're pretty busy. The people around me are super busy. We moved to the country 10 years ago now, and I was brought up in cities, and we're very rural here. We live outside the village, and the first harvest season, I'm ashamed to say that I was a bit like, what the hell's going on? It's like midnight and there are tractors in the field. They go all night. They've got to get the stuff in. I didn't know like balers and stuff had headlights. I do now. But confessions of city girl moved to the country. Hopefully after 10 years I am increasingly less ignorant about such things, but it was a bit of a shock. What are they doing in the field at midnight? And balers and combines and stuff, they're noisy. You know they're going on. But fair play to the farmers. It's hard job, tough time of year, and not massively lucrative for them. Yeah. So anyway, that's my little country life with Rachel. So I'm going to say goodbye because I'm waffling. If you haven't seen some of those Flosstubers, go check them out. I'm sure you've seen most of them. They're much better known than I am. And until next week, hopefully I'll have a bit more to show you next week. Hopefully World War III won't have broken out next week, and hopefully there won't be lawn mowing in the background. Yeah. But until next week, have a good week, Stitchers. Bye.